up, pretty gang? It's your favorite nail tech Peaches back with another video, and today we're talking about soak offs. Now, I know I have showed you guys in the past how to properly do a soak off, but I wanted to kind of break it down for you guys to give you some tips and tricks on how to make sure that you end up with a nice healthy result you can work over. So first thing is first, a soak off is a service that sounds exactly as what it is. It is soaking off the nail enhancements. I work with acrylic, so this is going to be in reference to specifically acrylic. However, you can use this process for certain soft gels and things like that, okay? So the first step is, of course, to break down the set, which means you want to take off all the charms, all the bling, and you're going to want to cut the nails down as short as they can go without hurting your client. From there, you're going to want to take a coarse bit. Now, I'm using a 5X coarse bit. Sometimes I use a safety top, which means a rounded top, so you lessen the chance of cutting somebody, and sometimes I use a regular top, okay? Now, getting in a little bit closer so you guys can see what this process looks like. It's hard to see how much rotation my bit has, but along with this being a very coarse bit, it's also up on a speed of about 15. Now, I know some people are going to tell you to go up to speeds of like 20 plus. I personally just don't, because I use a bit that is so coarse that it's just not necessary. Now, you do need to make sure that you're going up to a speed that is conducive of the bit that you're using. So if you're noticing that your machine is stopping a lot, or if you're noticing you're pressing really hard, that means it's not high enough, you know? So you're gonna have to turn up the speed a little bit, because you do need to get enough revolutions per minute for this process to even work properly, okay? Now, as far as technique, you guys can see that I am doing a pretty light pressure. Remember, if you're using a lot of pressure, that means your bit is old and it's time to get something new and fresh. Now, with that being said, you're gonna wanna pay attention to exactly how you're filing. As you guys can see, I'm filing a lot side to side and up and down. I'm also doing quick spurts with breaks followed, so that way I can kind of make sure that there's no heat spikes. A soak off should be a comfortable process. It should be something that you yourself as the tech should be able to endure. Now, you're going to want to avoid filing right on like where the enhancement, like the acrylic is, versus the natural nail, just because you don't want to dent the nail at all. Remember, a soak off is a healthy practice for removals, so if we do anything to damage the client in this process, it's going to hinder what we can do for them after this process. Now, this particular client is getting a removal, and she's coming back, well, at that time she was coming back the next week on her next off day to go ahead and get the new set. She needed a much shorter length, and she also wanted to switch to square. Okay, now in a second I'm going to show you the difference between the filing that I just did versus the natural, or I should say the original thickness of the acrylic, okay, just so that way you guys can see what that looks like. Now, side by side comparison, you guys can see we have significantly reduced the amount of acrylic on the nail, and that's what we want. If you do not do this, like how clients at home, they be trying to just use a nail file down a little bit and soak, it's gonna take you all mother freaking day. All right, now this service I have timed down to 1 hour, and that includes breaking down the set. That includes this right here. That includes the actual soaking, as well as payment and whatever pictures that I need to get. All right. Now, if you're finding that soak offs are taking a long time, it's probably this process right here. Again, if you're not removing enough acrylic, then this process is going to take a very long time. Also, please just keep in mind, if you're going to be doing this process on yourself at home, that you're not over filing yourself. I see so many people that file and then soak and file and soak. I'm going to show you the exact way you need to go ahead and do these soak offs, and this doesn't matter if it's on yourself, a client, whatever. All right, so after we reduce the amount of acrylic that we have, we're going to use these soak off bowls. These are great. You put hot water in the bottom, as hot as you can get it, and then we're going to pop in the inserts and use pure acetone. This has to be 100% pure acetone, or these are not going to soak off properly. Once you have the acetone in there, you're going to keep your hands in there. These soak off bowls you can get from your local nail supply. You can get them off Amazon, find them online. Now, they can be a little bit tricky to find, but these are really what you need. Now, after just about 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, this is the result we're having. Now, you should be able to easily use a cuticle pusher, and the acrylic should just kind of slip right off. I'm showing you guys that early on in the process, just so you guys can see this is not MMA, this is complete EMA. Now, typically the actual soak time is going to be, I don't know, about 35 minutes or so. This is me just showing you a close-up of this being good product. If the acrylic is coming off, it's very sticky, slimy like bubblegum, you got some MMA on your hands, and you want to fire whatever nail tech or stop using whatever products you are using. Okay, so essentially, the longer you leave your hands in, the quicker this process will be. All right, I know a lot of people say, oh, my soak offs only take 15 minutes. They have to be referring only to the time it takes to soak off, because breaking down the set itself takes 15 minutes. I also would advise you guys not to do too much filing after. I'm using a Zebra 8080 grit because this is a softer grit of file, although the 80 is higher on the scale. What this is going to allow me to do is to remove any staining from the red, and any little tiny patches left over, I can get that right off. Now I am going ahead in the front of the nail just to try and shorten it a little bit, as well as get any acrylic from underneath the nail. This is what you have to be delicate with. If you over file here, you're screwed. You're going to hurt yourself just as much as you would with the drill. Okay, so please be careful. We want to make sure that we are not just ravaging the file onto the nails. We want to make sure that we're being nice and delicate. And if we see any patches that are a little bit too big for either the hand file or our prep process, right, that I would go in with the drill and prep for acrylic, if those patches are too big, you need to go ahead and soak back down, which is what you guys are going to see me do on the thumb. So all in all, I hope this helps somebody. I see a lot of people very confused on soak offs, how to do soak offs, if you should offer soak offs. Remember, soak offs are done for new sets. There's no way we should be doing fills and fills and over and over and over again. Every 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, you should be doing a soak off or a fill, whatever that is. But remember, we typically don't like to do more than 2 fills before the next soak off, just to maintain the quality of the health underneath. Okay, so this nail, I'm gonna go ahead and have it soak a little bit. Red is extremely hard to get off, so honestly, the fact that I even showed you how to get off red acrylic at that, like, come on y'all, like, I'm gonna go. So this is pretty much the after. I'm just oiling her up so she doesn't have to walk around looking ashy and crusty and dusty. Okay, you always want to make sure that you oil them down a little bit, so that way they can look presentable to the world. And she is good to go for another set. This is exactly what healthy soaked off nails should look like. Okay, hope this helped you guys, and of course I will see you guys in the next one, which will be next week. Okay, we have a new video every single week, you guys. All right, period.